And we're joined by economics professor Julien Picault here at UBCO. People are really starting to talk about this coronavirus in terms of its impact on the economy. Who better to talk to than an economist? What do you see?
Well, there is a clear impact that's happening right now. It's mostly a supply problem, so it's mostly companies that don't work as much as they normally do, right? So bringing some product on the market becomes a problem for some companies, especially those that are located in China right now.
When you see places like in Italy canceling large gatherings and things like that, I'm thinking, well, there's lots of the people selling peanuts in the crowd, all of the food services related to that. I can really start to see some effects there.
Well, absolutely. I mean, stadiums are closing, theaters, might be impacting. So all the cultural sector might be involved, and all of those that sell, as you're referring to in this one. So yeah, it starts to spread basically in different parts of the economy as a result of the regulation that governments are taking right now.
And then recently we've seen the US Fed and the Bank of Canada both reducing lending rates. So what does that signal to you?
Well, that's a reaction that comes from the Fed or the Bank of Canada when they expect that people, or they want people to actually spend more, right? So as a result of a crisis like that, people will tend to spend less.
So they're trying to get ahead of it.
They try to get ahead of it. The only difficulty that some economists have with that right now is that usually that's how we respond to a demand problem. So the fact that people reduce how much they consume. Here the problem is slightly different because it comes from companies not supplying as much. So we are not as sure that it will be as effective as they would like.
So do you have a crystal ball on this as to where this leads?
It's very hard to say, right? Because the previous similar problems that were like SARS or things like that didn't spread as much as quickly, so it's very, very hard to predict what will happen. The only thing is most economists will probably think that a recession is coming. How severe, will it even come here to Canada or to a place like Kelowna? It's very hard to see and predict that right now. But yeah, for sure, it's not a good news. We see already the stock markets, going down quite a bit, and we are affected just by that already.
Are there possibly opportunities that come out of something like this?
There are always opportunities, there are companies that will do better as a result, like selling mask companies, things like that. We see people also reselling these masks right now, so, like on Facebook Marketplace. So there are always opportunities, but there are not so many of them. What I would say is don't panic, right? It's not the moment to panic. Don't sell all your assets right now. It's more, like patience in this crisis is usually the good thing to do. In a few weeks, a few months from now, things will go back to normal, and very likely the economy will come back to a more normal state.
Well, that sounds sort of like an optimistic approach, or I feel reassured from you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But how does this compare, in your mind, to what we saw in 2008 with that sort of economic downturn?
It's different because the cause is different, right? So it's the crisis was economics, like in 2007, 2008. Right now, it's a public health problem that's spreading. So it's very different. It's very hard to compare. Again, we can't refer in recent history to anything that looks like that.
Right. Well, anyways, some optimistic words. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching KelownaNow.